And as our lo-fi waltz fades out, I welcome you to this, another live on the No Fuss Muss YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us, wherever in the world you are joining us from. Do let us know where you're joining us from in the comments. We love the live chat. We have a brilliant final end of series presentation to give you tonight on the photographs that made me, professional photographers sharing their favorite photographs from all around the world. We've had them from Australia, we've had them from New Zealand, we've had them from Sweden, we've had them from America, and we're joined this evening by Andrew from upstate New York in the United States. Andrew, always appreciate your support. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight we go to another country, some might say in the British Isles, another world, home of red sandstone buildings, national poet Robert Burns, the River Knife and the Globe Inn and its attached museum. But all of these things pale into insignificance next to our guest tonight. This is portrait photographer and society's judge, Fiona McKean. Hello, Fiona.
Hi. That is some entry, James. That's bigging me up massively.
Are there red sandstone buildings in Dumfries?
There are, yes.
Can you not move for them? Are there loads?
Yeah, no, there are loads. All the old kind of Georgian Edwardian ones. They're all the beautiful red sandstone. But a grey sandstone as well.
Do you live in one? Do you live in a sandstone building?
No. I'm kind of proper posh. I live in a new house.
Fair enough. I see that you're sat in front of a nice big bookcase there. Describe to us the best book you've read this year.
Best book I have read this year is Mick Herron's Dead Lions. It's part of the Jackson Lamb series. I don't know if you've ever seen it on Apple TV.
I haven't seen it on Apple TV. I can't afford Apple TV. No.
Oh, honestly, you need to get Apple TV for this. Basically, a spy story. Jackson Lamb is an old spook from the Cold War days, and he's been put out to pastures new to kind of lead him into retirement, but he never retires because he's a proper old spook. And in the Apple series, he's played by, oh God, now. It doesn't matter who's played by because I can't remember his name. It'll come back to me. That's terrible. But the book is amazing. The book's even better than the series.
Okay.
Yeah,
love my books. I've only read one book this year, and I'll reveal it at the end if you want. Let us know what your favourite book is that you've read this year in the comments below. Fiona photographs a lot of newborns and dogs. This is her Instagram feed. You can find her on the Instagram, Fiona McKean. Look at these amazing, cute babies. What is it about photographing the expressions of cute babies that you love the most?
I just have the best job in the world. I get to cuddle babies for a living, and you get to show parents how teeny tiny their kids are. And when you get a smile or a scowl or something like that, we kind of half yawn that you went past there. It's just, parents just love it. They just absolutely melt for it. So yeah. Why wouldn't you want to do it?
These sorts of things are absolutely timeless, and these sorts of things are absolute money makers, which I know is something that you're talking about at the Society's convention in London. You are doing 2 talks, both on the business of photography, not like flash Harrys like me talking about lighting and colour and gels and things like that. You're talking about how to actually run a proper business. Talk to us about your 2 talks.
So I always say I'm a business person that takes photographs. I fall at the feet of the likes of yourself and your previous interviewees that you've had in this series. So first one is marketing. Obviously, things have changed so significantly post-COVID, just really impacted. But obviously the last couple of years with AI coming in, the way we speak to people has massively changed, and the way people buy has massively changed. So the first one's going to cover all that and trying to help people fill their studios the way mine is. And then the second one, which is, the first one is in-person sales. I've got them round the wrong way. For people that don't like selling, it's the a nice way of just chatting to your clients and leading them to what is comfortable for them to purchase while still spending money. And then the second one, is the marketing one, to fill in your studio.
They're very useful. We are joined by guests from Germany as well, as we can see. I'm going to check out the Strugacki brothers and see what sort of books they produce and what that's all about. I'm not a huge reader. I thought it was because I didn't enjoy reading. It used to give me headaches, and I realised I actually need glasses earlier this year. But no one came here to listen to a chat about my deteriorating eyesight. They came to listen to you talk about your 3 favourite images. If you're joining us for the first time, we get professional photographers to choose their 3 favourite images, one from the whole world of photography, one from their professional portfolio, and one from their personal private portfolio. We're going to start off tonight with your professional, with your favorite image from the world of photography. Before we go there, hi neighbor, looking forward to this chat. We're about to drop you, Dixon Clan, into 1989. Fiona, talk to us about this image.
So you introduced this as my favourite image, which anybody that knows it, it was taken 1989 in Tiananmen Square, and the gentleman that stood in front of the tanks took the bravest protest that MD ever could for the rights of people to speak. But at the time, I didn't this sounds ridiculous when I say it like this, I didn't understand that a photographer took the photograph. In my head, I didn't make the connection. It was pivotal to me because my mum and dad had a newsagent, and that was front page of pretty much all newspapers at the time. I remember it being for the Telegraph, particularly. It was on their front page, and it was one of those images that just stopped me from what I was doing, and just made me think, and at that point I realised the power of a photograph. But as I say, very naively, I didn't think about the photographer behind that image. It was the end result that I saw, but it had a massive impact on me. And at that point, I decided that my career was going to be history and politics. At that juncture, which 1989, I wasn't terribly old, but I was old enough to make that decision. But yeah, we spoiler alert, I haven't gone into history and politics.
Yeah, absolutely. This image, obviously 1989, this is the 5th of June. I know because the events happened in and around my birthday. So for whatever reason, the date of this is stuck in my head. So it's useful for me if I'm ever in a pub quiz team and they need a specific date for this photograph. This is taken from the 6th floor balcony of a hotel across the street from Tiananmen Square, and it's happened the day after the events, and they're known by different names in different countries. One of the photographers who was on the balcony, and not the photographer who shot this, a photographer by the name of Stuart Franklin, took a wider version of this image that really utilized the lines, the yellow lines coming down, and the arrows in the top left that you see.
Yeah.
And he said that when he first saw the tanks coming down in line, this is before anyone stood out in front of them, that the first thing that hit him was the framing of it. The framing of these tanks all in uniform with these straight lines and these arrows specifically. And he says that framing is not just about aesthetics, it's also about storytelling. So before anyone's even stepped in front of these tanks, he's already seen an image that has really implicit storytelling beyond it. And he goes on to discuss the sort of horrors that he'd seen the day previous. Mm-hmm. To get the film, because obviously there was an issue with getting film in and out. This is in a pre-internet age. Yep. Children or anyone. You can't just take an image on your phone and upload it to the Bird app. This is actually having to get contraband out of the country almost. And he said that he packed his film in a box of tea to get it out, and that was the photograph that was seen on Time magazine. But this is Jeff Weidener's photograph that was the one that was circulated around the world and the one that you saw on the newspaper the following day. He very politely declined my request to come on tonight, but he said he will. But he said he will come on in January. He said that December's just too busy for. I emailed him yesterday.
Oh well, James,
to see
you're
if he'll come
mental.
on. And he
That's
said, no,
amazing.
I'd love to come on. I just can't come on in December because I'm moving around too much and it's just too busy. But let me come on in January and talk about it. So if you want him, then just let me know in the comments and I will follow that up positively and we'll talk to him about this image. The photo was nominated for a Pulitzer Prize. It was so widely published and no one knows. And this is where I want you to come in, Fiona. No one knows that people know the identities of the people on the balcony and the photographer shooting the shot. No one knows the identity of the man in the photograph and what actually happened to him, which sort of adds that air of mystery, doesn't it, to the end result?
Yeah. And I think that it's, you know, when you look at it now from with my years of experience of photographing and subsequently judging, you know, you've got your leading lines and the white of his shirt really stops you, literally stops you. But and again, if we were judging this, the light fitting or whatever it is, and the lampshades in the front foreground, we would be critical, shall we say, of that. But it just goes to show that, you know, an image can really, really speak to you, really resonate with you. I mean, you can't begin to imagine the courage of that guy to just walk out there, particularly knowing what had happened the day before. You know,
I think adding that air of mystery as well, not knowing who it is or what happened to them, or even what was said when he climbs up on that first tank, which we see in the video footage. He actually climbs up on the first tank and sort of speaks to the person inside in what seems like quite a calm way. I think that adds an air of mystery, which means that you can, if you want to dive even deeper into it, you can draw your own narrative and draw your own story as to what. But that symbolism here of this shot with like you say, with the white shirt representing the white flag of peace or surrender or even defiance, really sings to a really strong documentary image, and it's a fine choice. So thank you very much for sharing that one with us, Fiona.
Thanks.
We move on now to your professional portfolio, and I've never done this before. Fiona sent me 2 professional pictures, so you can't have 2. You can't have 2, you can only have 1. So Mrs. Selfish. But Fiona, as we know, is not a selfish person at all. She did it with all good intentions. So I've allowed her to share both of them with us tonight. This is Fiona's favorite image from her professional portfolio. Talk to us about this.
So this is 2 of the images. These are my daughters, eldest on the left, youngest on the right. And these 2 images were taken as part of my successful fellowship panel with the societies. And the day I submitted for an associate panel at the convention in January 2020. It wasn't my fault that it all went horribly wrong thereafter, honestly. And when I hung the images, my husband, Darren, was with me. I turned to him and said, come what may today, I have done the absolute best I can. And if I'm not successful for my associate, then I'll go away, I will lick my wounds, and I'll come back having learned from it. But the long story short, it was an awarded and associate panel, and then it was rejudged and upgraded to a fellowship panel. So yeah, still very proud of them, the images, and yeah, that's and I couldn't decide between one of them, and obviously having 2 children, you can't possibly have favourites. So that's why they were both there.
So let's speak to the motivation. What motivated you, not necessarily to shoot a qualification panel for a professional qualification in photography, but what motivated you to shoot it in this monochromatic style?
I wanted to push myself. So the reason I know you said not to, but it kind of puts it in context. Not dissimilar to when you spoke to Hannah and Eric last week, I am very much one of those people that if I get bored, I'll walk away. And in early 2019, I had achieved all the targets I'd set myself, and I was getting itchy feet, shall we say. So spoke to a very good friend, and he suggested doing a qualification panel to push me. And again, going back to what I said early on, I am a business person that takes photographs, so the technical side of photography didn't come naturally to me. So I kind of thought, what could be the most challenging, and that was to produce a panel of associate level images that was technically good enough to stand up. So it's a 2 light setup, main light and a fill, and no dress, or I mean the kids are dressed and stuff, but no fanciness behind it. It just a simple, beautiful black and white portrait was at that time what I thought would push me. And I don't see myself as a creative as well, so having fans and bells and whistles was always going to be a step too far. So
how old were the girls in the photos?
So what's that, 2019, 6 years ago, 12 and 11 at the time.
And what's it like photographing family members, very close
horrific.
family members who are just approaching teenage years? How was that?
It's horrific. There was blood, sweat and tears, all of which were mine. Actually, Isla on the right, she fainted at one point because her sister touched her.
She fainted?
She fainted because her sister had her hands on her. True story. So yeah, it was awful.
In what way do these photographs represent their characters and their differing characters? What conscious decisions have you made as a photographer to represent and put that over? So
Heather on the left she's very academic. She's a very serious young lady. Even then, she was very serious, but she's very considerate and socially aware. You know, just I really like my kids, which, given that they're 17 and 19 now, they're lovely girls, but they're very, very different. So Heather, very considerate, very serious, and very reflective. So that I wanted to try and bring that out with that kind of softness. Whereas Isla on the right is an absolute diva. She's very strong-willed. She's very opinionated. So hence we had in particular that straight on eyes to camera. Almost, it's not a power pose, but almost a power pose.
Yeah.
Whereas Heather's got the wee head tilt just to suggest that little bit of coyness, that little bit of because she is very confident in herself.
Yeah.
But I wanted that softness with her.
Sometimes with producing a qualification panel of work, as you alluded to right at the start, it's about producing work that has as few flaws as possible, because judges by their very nature go to the negative aspects of images first and then search for the things they like. I've tried to teach myself not to do that as much as possible. And as I get more and more, as I get further along with my judging journey, I actually find it easier to just reach for the things that I really like. This year, I've been looking at the judging style of Anton Dubek on Strictly Come Dancing, and I'm bringing that to the convention this coming January in London. So I'll be judging more like Anton. But in these images
with the same flamboyancy that Anton
with the same suit, if I can get into it. But with these images there, like you say, they're very, very. What strikes me about them is that it's pure photography, in the respect that in 15, 20, 30 years time, they will look as good as they do today, which is real pure photography. And I think that's one of the biggest compliments that you can pay to imagery. They look believable, they look authentic, and it looks like images that will last for a long time. Are they, Fiona, up in your home?
They absolutely are.
Hey.
They're on my staircase. And they're also in my studio as well, because and actually that's why I started. I thought, as a family photographer, how much of a sales, and again that's a business person, I mean, how much of a sales tool is it to have my family? Because obviously it was a panel of 20 images. There's one of my mum and dad, me and my husband, the two girls, and the dog. And it's in the stairwell as you come into my studio. Just straight in front of them, because I want people to see that I do what I'm asking them to do.
Yes.
And everybody comments on it. Yeah, absolutely.
Love to hear it. Fantastic. You can visit Fiona's studio in Dumfries if you're ever north of the border.
Absolutely.
You can absolutely do that. And the other thing you can do is, if you want to support the channel, you want to support a photographer like me, then you can go onto my website, portraitofaWrestler.com/store. We are doing a 25 Days of Christmas Advent special. I realize I've been shooting professional wrestlers now for 10 years. So to celebrate that, I've gone back through my archive where I've traveled all around the world. I say all around the world. I basically mean America, Wales, and England. And I've got my favorite images. You can get an image of the hot mess, Chelsea Green. That one went live today. There she is, the hot mess in her full bridal makeup. That one was shot in Chicago, Illinois, backstage at All In. You could get a photograph of Joey Janela with a cigarette stapled, a lit cigarette stapled to his forehead, an image that All Elite Wrestling have used in their book. This book is All Elite, without asking for my permission. You can buy that off of me if you want. They're all on my store, portraitofaWrestler.com/store. We're going to move on to Fiona's final image here. It's her personal image, the image that means the most to her. Fiona, if you're ready, please take the stage and talk to us about why this is your favorite image from your personal portfolio.
It's my world in a photograph, with the exception of my husband. So I need to shout out to him because he'll watch this at some point and go, why was I not mentioned? But no, it is my world. Mum, dad, and the kids. That'd be taken in 2018, I think it was. Early 2018. Mother's Day it was, actually. We'd been out for dinner and it was such a beautiful day. We went for a walk. And it kind of harks back to everything. So the reason I chose that first image was because of the impact it had on me and my future decisions. And images like the one that's on the screen now has an impact on me now because unfortunately lost my dad 3 years ago. So whenever I see images like that, it just takes you back into that moment, and that person's still there. So I think it's just a great way of highlighting that as portrait photographers, we sometimes take for granted what we do, but actually it's not frivolous. For me, that's the world, and it does stop me in my tracks when I see it. And you're scrolling through Facebook and it comes up in your memories. It stops you in your tracks as much as, and for totally different reasons, but as much as that the Tank Man did back in the day when I saw it in the newspapers. So yeah, that was. I suppose it's a message to everybody. Take photographs of your family. Have professional photographs taken. And if you take professional photographs, very much value your craft, because at some point it will become somebody's memory. And that's all they'll have left of them. That was really cheery, wasn't it? I do apologise.
No, it's a good way. No, honestly, this is a lovely way to bring it home. Take photographs, keep photographs, print photographs, and they don't have to be. And as you have followed the trope that every professional photographer has followed when they have been asked to bring a personal photograph to this chat. They've gone to their phone, or they've gone to something that is imperfect, something that was just a moment that just captured a moment in time. And as someone once said to me years ago, they said, the minute you hit the shutter, you've captured a moment of the past. You can't possibly capture the now because it's already happened, and it's impossible to capture the future. You've literally got a time machine in your hands, and you're capturing things that, the moments in time that cannot be replicated. And that's what's so brilliant about this. And it's so brilliant. I go through, and I've shared this before. I go through my phone every December, and I will take 50 photos off of my phone, and my wife will take 50 photos off of her phone, and we will send them to a printers, and we will spend 10p a print, printing them off little small 5x4s. And at the end of every year, those 100 photos go in a small wooden box. And we've done that since the kids were born. So now we have 13 years worth, 1,300 photos in a box. Mm-hmm. And they're all just ice creams and sitting on benches and looking at flowers and messing around, all those kind of moments that you otherwise would have forgotten. And I think that is, photography is a lot of things, but ultimately what it is a snapshot in time. And the value of a photograph can only be placed. The only person who can place a value on the photograph is the owner.
Yeah.
Really. And the fact that means so much to you, I just appreciate you sharing the story behind it.
And it's one of those things that, that there's so little in life that increases exponentially in value, and your photographs do. And you know, my mum always took photographs, and I remember it was always a biscuit tin, like the old Rovers biscuit tins, and we would go through just every now and again. We'd rummage through them, and it is there's always a memory within there you've forgotten, a story that you weren't told. And I discovered I had a cousin that I didn't know about because there was a photo of him and a friend. He did come up to visit from London. I'm like, I'm okay. Wasn't aware of this. I must have been, but I was so young when he'd come that I'd kind of forgotten about it. So, oh, that's your cousin from London. Okay then.
Every family needs a cousin that no one else knows about. Every single one. Paul's jumped in and said, "Is this a Scottish accent?" It's great. Yeah, it is.
It is. I do apologise. We maybe should have had subtitles.
No, it's all good. It's all fine. No, I think, and even the royal family has family members. If you've watched series 1 of The Crown, which is the only series of The Crown you should watch,
it is, yeah.
And I watched that with my mum. That episode where they talk about these, relatives that were sort of estranged.
Yeah.
And Mum said, my mum knows everything about it. She knew everything about that lot and all that sort of thing. She said, every family's got one of those. I'm like, who's ours?
Really? I don't know MD. Fun fact,
there you go.
I was at Charles and Diana's wedding.
You were at Charles and Diana's wedding?
Yeah, just in the street. But yeah, we.
I'm going to go massively off topic here. No, I'm not going to go. I'm going to talk about that for a bit. How old were you?
4.
You remember
5.
it?
No, I probably don't. But there's photographs. Like my mum kind of got stuck. So they closed the road. Mum had gone for a pee, and they closed the road off, and they weren't going to let my mum through, and like my dad standing in. So the crowd went wild, and Mum got sent through. Just before the carriage came up. So that was,
Right. I'm just going to bring this up here. Hang on 2 seconds. So, I mean, that's incredible. You don't remember a thing about it, no?
No.
Okay. On the ITV player X, or whatever it's called, ITVX, you can have a look at, you can watch the whole coverage of the Charles and Diana wedding. Right. It's an incredible snapshot in time, right? What's most interesting is that they have all these presenters at the start going, "Oh, it's such a day of celebration," and all this kind of stuff. And then they go, "Oh, but it's of course 7 o'clock in the morning. We're going to go to the news." So they just go to the news. There were riots in Liverpool the night before. But more importantly, there was a wedding party in Green Park the night before, because it was a really warm night. It was midsummer, right?
Yeah.
People camping out, but they had a party with fireworks, and it was a human Catherine wheel. There was a human Catherine wheel that a man in a suit had to go up and turn by hand on a rig, right?
Oh my God.
And then just casually at the end of this news item, after they've spoken about, I think it was a fatality in the Liverpool riot, they casually dropped in that there were fatalities at this party.
Oh, Jesus.
But they didn't want it to spoil. They didn't want it to spoil the day and the marriage. I honestly, I listened to the news report and I'm like, sorry.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure if it's factually correct, but it's definitely. But then this is the internet.
Yeah.
So
say it with enough confidence and it'll be true.
But yeah, if you check it out, you can watch the whole thing on the ITV player, and it is an interesting snapshot. Everyone had those little periscopes.
To
look over the crowds, the little paper periscopes and things like that. But anyway, that was a nice sidebar.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you very much for joining us, Fiona. Where can people find you on the internet?
Instagram at Fiona McKean Photography, and obviously come to the convention if you can in January. See me and James. So it should be James and me, and learn loads about photography and come and say hi, because it's amazing, isn't it?
We're a friendly bunch. It's fine. You
We
can download
really
your free posing. You can download your free posing guide from me at nofussmust.com. Go on there. We've redone the website recently, so there's all sorts of different assets on there. There's free things you can get. So if you're a new photographer, I'm trying to provide the content that I wish was online 20 years ago when I started my photography journey. That's what we're doing with that website there. And you can start by visiting it, just downloading your free posing guide. Fiona, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for joining us all in the chat. If you're watching us on Catch Up, thank you very much for joining us on Catch Up. We'll see you very soon.
Thank
All
you.
the very best.